Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Lindsay. I want to give you a brief introduction to how Asynchronous Astronomy 152 is going to work this semester. So go ahead and bear with me. I'm going to go through a little bit of the course policies, a little bit of a direction on how you can actually go about navigating our class. And then in the second video, I'm actually going to walk you through, show you the Canvas page and how you can actually go about navigating through Canvas to keep up with the material week to week as we go through this asynchronous version of astronomy. So let me go ahead and pull up my slides here. There we go. Got to stand up because stuff's hidden behind other stuff. There we go. So now you can see my full screen. Just going to quickly walk you through what's going on. This is an online asynchronous class. That means that we have no official class meetings, even though some of you are probably on campus and I am on campus. We will be meeting at your convenience via lecture videos. So I just want to put some information up here so you can see it. I am Dr. Sean Lindsay. There's my email. My office is in the Physics and Astronomy building on top of the hill. My office number is 215 in Nielsen Physics and Astronomy. You can come find me anytime if you're on campus. I hold office hours. I try to do office hours spread out throughout the week. And you can come in person, even though this is an online class, on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. until noon, Wednesdays from 2 to 3:30 p.m., and Friday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. But I'm also trying to be generally available as much as I possibly can for my students, some that I dearly care about. So I am available by appointment and also virtually. You can find all of this information that I have on the screen on the syllabus. So if you have not yet navigated to Canvas and found our syllabus, please go ahead and take some time to familiarize yourself with the syllabus. I know I'm about to cover some of that material. So before I actually get into the nitty-gritty, I always like to introduce myself to my students, and it feels a little bit weird to do this via a screen rather than in person, but I want to let you know who I am. So I am the astronomy coordinator for the University of Tennessee. I am also a senior lecturer. So my journey to where I am now has been a long one, but it starts in a very familiar place. I was an undergraduate here at the University of Tennessee. I was a physics major and a math major. I went ahead and I did two separate degrees because I guess I like to punish myself, or just the fact that I really enjoy both physics and mathematics. And I really fell in love with astronomy by taking the very class that you are right now, our introductory astronomy classes. I was once a student in your position taking this class, and it was through an introductory astronomy class here at UTK that I fell in love with astronomy and wanted to understand the nature of the universe. And everything that I'm about to go through has led me from that class to here. So once I graduated from the University of Tennessee, I went out into the world and I went to New Mexico State University in Las Cruces, New Mexico to work on my master's and PhD in astronomy. Don't worry, I'd never heard of the university either until I went there. Wonderful institution. And while I was there, I wrote a research proposal to have my dissertation research funded by NASA. I was awarded that proposal, so I finished out a sort of joint between New Mexico State and the NASA Ames Research Center. After I got my PhD, I worked for 3 years as a professional planetary astronomer, solely focusing on research. And I came back here to the University of Tennessee, and I worked for 2 years in the Earth and Planetary Sciences Department, a wonderful department that we have here at UTK. And then I went and I spent 1 year at the University of Oxford, not the one in Mississippi, the one across the ocean, where I worked as a planetary astronomer over there. While I was in that position, the astronomy coordinator position here that I now inhabit opened up. I applied, I was granted it, and now I've been here in the physics and astronomy department acting as the astronomy coordinator for 8 years. I have a lot of experience teaching these introductory classes, so hopefully you are benefiting from that. And you will actually enjoy going through the lecture videos. I try to actually spice up my lecture videos a little bit more and give you a full accounting of everything I'm going to go through with the material. So hopefully you find the videos a good way to actually digest the material. What are we actually going to cover in this class? So I break this class into 3 primary units. There is a 4th sort of shadow unit where I try to introduce as much material as I possibly can, but we have a lot of ground to cover. We're going to start with basic astronomy. So this is the foundations of astronomy as a natural science. We'll have to go through what science is, what astronomy is, a little bit about what the universe is, and then we will do sort of the classical sort of things that you have to do in any introductory astronomy class. You have to understand, say, orbits. So why do the planets orbit the sun in the way they do? Why do stars orbit each other? Why do all the stars of the Milky Way sort of orbit around the center of the Milky Way where there's a supermassive black hole? We'll have to understand gravity, which is making all those things orbits. We'll have to understand light, because it's through the light that reaches us here at Earth from the universe beyond that we actually use to determine most of what we know about the universe that we live in. And of course, the tools that we're using are telescopes, so we'll spend a little bit of time on telescopes. From there, we actually jump into the study of the stars. We start at home, we look at the sun as a star, and then we move to stars in general. Most of this is going to focus on how do we actually understand the characteristics of stars, how big they are, how hot they are, what color they are. We want to understand the natures of stars. And it's a surprise to some people, but stars are not immortal. They live and die. So we'll end in Unit 3 talking about how stars are born, how they form, then how stars die, and then what's left behind, and all these sort of exotic things that you probably have heard about and you get excited about, but you might not know a whole lot about them. So we'll talk about what neutron stars are and what black holes are. And for all of that, I'll actually have to give you a brief conceptual introduction to Einstein's ideas of relativity. All right, so that's the basic rundown of the class. I will sneak in as much as I can of the Shadow Unit 4, talking about the Milky Way galaxy, galaxies in general, and then the origins and ultimate fate of the universe, what we call cosmology. But really what you need to know operationally for this class is that Canvas has pretty much everything. I'm not a big fan of having you all having to go to this website, that website, then pick up this book, that book. I like to have everything in one spot. So I've tried to make Canvas as navigable and easy to use as possible. And the way that I do this is I organize Canvas into week-by-week modules. So you can see that there will be a week 1 module already available to you. And each one of these modules is going to contain everything that you need for that week of the semester. You'll have announcements so you can keep up with what's going on in class. I do a README so you can read about what we'll actually be talking about, and I'll provide links to a couple of additional materials, supplemental materials. So a very useful thing for you to have. I'll put all the assignments that are going to be due that week right into the module so you can see that and easily see that. If we have a quiz or an exam, I'll put the study guides a few weeks before, and then I'll put the links to the quizzes and exams in the weekly modules when we have quizzes and exams, and I'll put links to discussions. Pretty much everything you could possibly want is found on Canvas. In the next video, I'll actually show you what the Canvas site looks like so you can get a better picture of all this in your mind. I also have a link to my textbook. So you might have noticed that there is no required textbook or homework system for this class. I've created everything that you will need, and I offer it freely available to you. So my textbook is available on Canvas, and I've been developing this for about 7.5 years. Every semester I update the slides a little bit. So you have full access to that. It's already up on Canvas. You can download every bit of our material, and you'll find links right on the front page, and you'll find links just on the modules under the course resources. No purchases are necessary. College is already more expensive than it needs to be. So this is my way of trying to help with a little bit of cost savings. So be sure to access that material. Know that you can actually get the textbook material. This is going to be one of the core ways that you receive the course material, the course content, is through my slide decks that I have put together and I call the textbook for the class. And also all the assignments, so any homework that you're doing, all our weekly assignments, our quizzes and exams, all of it is hosted online via Canvas. I've built all the questions out myself, and I've integrated the textbook, the questions, the quizzes, the homeworks, all of it, it meshes together. So it's a nice reinforcing tool, and you never really have to leave Canvas. You can find everything you need there. I will host everything on there. We do have to just eat a little bit of the weirdness that Canvas has and some of the difficulties that it has with online assignments, but I've tried to make everything as smooth and easy as possible. Also on Canvas, right on the front page, you'll find a link to the syllabus and you'll find a link to the semester schedule. The syllabus just describes the course policies. The semester schedule gives you a week by week what topics we're going to be covering. And then that way you know for every week where you should be looking in my textbook, what slides you should be looking at, what slides will be covered. So I've tried to integrate everything, and the semester schedule also includes things like homework assignments, quizzes, and exams when they're going to happen. And finally, I will release weekly announcements on Canvas, just so everybody knows what's going on in course. Communication is a big thing for me, and I want to make sure you feel like you understand what's going on and when things need to happen in this class. So every week, I will release a Canvas announcement. So make sure that you enable your Canvas announcements for this class in a way that works best for you. If you want to have a daily digest sort of thing, if you want a weekly digest, or if you want a message every time something's posted, find what works for you so you can keep on top of the material and be on the lookout for my weekly announcements. And if you have looked at my textbook already, I wanted to go ahead and give you a primer, because you might have seen that there are a lot of colors associated with the information dense slides. And yes, all the slides are information dense because it's acting as a textbook. So as you're going through this, if you're watching the lecture videos, I'm using versions of the slides, not the exact same slides in the lecture videos, or if you're just going through my textbook slides, here's your sort of primer on how you can take notes and what you should pay attention to, what my color coding scheme is. So all important definitions, concepts, things like that, I highlight in bold, italics, blue font. These are the things that you should jot down. They're going to be your vocab. They're going to be your main concepts. These are the sort of things where you should, by the time you reach a quiz or exam, you should have a lot of these down cold, because they are the language that we use to communicate astronomy science. So I try to make that easy, and bold, blue, italics, pay attention to those, take notes on those, make sure you know those types of things. Green font is where I go beyond the level of this class a little bit. I usually call this the For the Curious, where it adds a lot of context to what's going on. And also it just gives a little bit of everything that I'm saying past just the introduction. It actually gives it a little bit of meaning, or maybe it just reaches out and it talks about how it connects to other disciplines, or it's just really interesting information that I would feel bad if I didn't share with you. But you don't necessarily, you won't be tested on it. So I call it For the Curious. It's extending past the course concepts. It's not going to be on quizzes and exams, things like that. So that's what the green text means. Then there's the red bolded text, and this is stuff that you don't need to know. They're on the slides for reasons that I need them up there so I can discuss what's going on, but you absolutely do not have to commit that material to memory. Like if I'm showing you a table, no way I expect you to memorize a table. We do have equations. This is a natural science class, so there is some math. And a lot of the equations that pop up, I will highlight with bold red text, or have something on the slide that says, you don't need to know this equation, you don't need to know this. So I wanted to make sure that's very clear what you need to know and what you don't need to know. And then there's a sort of ambiguous purple text. I'm using this as a highlighter. This is like doing some sort of bold, something to draw your attention to that content. So it might be all the supporting information for our bold blue italics concepts, things like that, or providing more information about the definitions that are going on. This is stuff that I want you to have your eyes drawn to and pay attention to. So it's a highlighter. So what kind of suggestions do I have for you whenever you're going through the textbook slides, and if you're preparing for quizzes, you're preparing for exams? Make study lists, like the bold blue italics font, all those key concepts, you can write all those down, and that will help you learn the vocabulary. You can go about learning that vocabulary however you want. We all have our own methods of doing that, but making study lists of the course vocabulary is absolutely necessary, because every academic discipline, has its own jargon, has its own way of communicating. And astronomy is particularly bad because there's a lot of concepts that we use that you probably haven't heard before. And if you're not committing those things to memory, if you're not actively being a participant and understanding that vocabulary, it's going to be hard to follow what I'm saying sometimes, because I have to speak in astronomy terms to talk about astronomy. Plus, this will just make if you take good notes on this, homework, quizzes, and exams, there's lots of questions that are just definitions, and boom, you're done with them. You don't even have to think about it. Also, as you go through, if I ever have example questions in the slides, they're there for a reason. You should pay attention to any examples that I have, any unanswered questions, sort of leading questions that I have in there. You should pay attention to those. If there's an example, make sure you can follow along with it. It will appear on a homework, a quiz, or an exam. So I'm trying to provide examples that are directly relevant to your success in this class. Now that we've gone over a little bit of the textbook stuff, that's one of the core ways you can get material in this class. The other way, since this is an asynchronous class, are lecture videos. So I provide topic by topic lecture videos available to you free, linked in the weekly modules on Canvas. And these videos are a little bit longer than what you'd normally get if we just had 3 50-minute class sessions per week. Because whenever I was making these videos, I realized that, oh, this is my opportunity to teach this material in a video format. And I wanted to make sure that I was going to make my videos thorough. So the videos might be a little bit longer than the normal in-person lecture, but I also know that a lot of people watch lecture videos or course content videos on 1.5 or 2 times speed. So I think it'll all work out in the end. But the lecture videos are the major course content delivery method if you like this sort of presentation format. I'll have slides up. You'll see me over here in a little window. I'm gesticulating a lot. I'll try to bring in like props and things like that and hold them up to the camera. So make sure that you're keeping up the lecture videos. They're week by week. And also, just because this is an online class where we're not seeing each other, you don't have that opportunity in class to ask questions. I am going to have weekly feedback surveys. They're at the top of every weekly module. And it's just a survey question. You can answer it. You can choose to skip it. I highly suggest that you go ahead and answer it. And if you're having any confusion, any difficulty with any of the topics, this is a way where you can communicate to me what you're having trouble with. And based on the results of those, I'll go through, and the class TAs will go through them every week. And then I might make, if it's really needed, I'll make an additional film that I can upload and distribute to you all to help you with that material, or I can provide written examples or written supplemental sort of text to help you learn the material that you're having the most trouble with. And this way we have a good feedback system. So I know where you're at in the class and you're getting everything that you need. And I'm providing the best education to you that I possibly can. Another big part of this class is I go ahead and I create a GroupMe for the class. I know pretty much every class has a GroupMe, so I just went ahead and decided, why don't I just go ahead and create and host it? And then that way I can make sure that it is, one, not a place that's not a den of cheating, and two, it is a place that is very valuable for you to succeed in my class. You'll find the invite link on Canvas. It's also on the syllabus. I try to put it everywhere so it's hard to miss. So go ahead and add GroupMe. You don't have to be in there. It's not a graded component, but it's a place for you to talk with me, talk with other students, get the help you need. I send reminders. I send cool astronomy news. I try to do some fun polls. I'll ask you all questions. You can ask me questions. The only rules that I have about it are, one, be civil. I mean, we are all working with 200 of us in a common chat, so we should be civil to one another. So please bear in mind, be kind, be respectful. And also, don't post pictures of questions where you've marked an answer, whether correct or incorrect. You can post a picture of the question unanswered and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Can anybody provide me help? But just don't post any answers. That's all I ask, is no pictures of questions with answers. And then please use GroupMe. I like it to be a lively chat space, and you can go ahead and shoot me questions, shoot the TA questions, have discussions with one another. Sometimes it gets lively, sometimes it's a little bit quiet, and it's just me sending reminders and things like that. It's different every semester, and I hope you really enjoy it and you make the GroupMe a vital a core part of this course, because it makes a very large course feel smaller, and it's going to make the asynchronous course feel more personable. And I want to quickly walk you through the course components for this class. All this information is in the syllabus, so I'm going to go through this rather quickly because this video is already approaching 20 minutes in length. So these are the graded parts of the class. We have these weekly assignments that I call engagement exercises, or EE. So every week you have a 10-question weekly engagement exercise, and this is how I'm going to make sure that everybody's keeping up with the course material. It's also a great way for you to get exposed to how I might ask questions. You find these in the weekly modules, just underneath assignments, or you can go to the assignments tab or the quizzes tab on Canvas to find all of those. Very easy for you to find, and they're really just a check-in to make sure that you're following along with the material. The questions are generally easy. Sometimes there are a couple of thinkers on there, but you get an infinite number of tries to get the grade that you want, which I hope is a 100. So you get an infinite number of tries, and they're going to be due every Sunday. And I try to make things due at very set times, so it's easy to build a schedule. So they're due every Sunday at 11:59 p.m., and that's Eastern time. So the week one EE is due this Sunday, the 29th at 11:59 p.m. I hope that you find these useful. It keeps you on top of all the material, and also a lot of the questions that are on the EEs appear on homework, appear on quizzes, appear on exams. So it's all there to help you and make sure we're all moving through the course at the same rate and getting the material on a week-by-week basis. Homework is the biggest grading component of this class. I'm not big on singular assessments like exams and quizzes, counting so much of your grade that a single bad grade on any of those could wreck your grade in the class. And homework, you have until the due date, you have many days to work on homework to really go through it and get a good grade. So homework is worth 40% of your overall grade in this class. Don't sleep on the homework. Don't skip any homework assignments. Every one of them counts. We have 10 of them. They vary in length. Each one has its own point value, and then I add up all the points and how many points you got to calculate what your homework grade will be. They are not every week, but with 10 of them, and there are 14 and a half-ish weeks on the schedule, they will be most weeks, there'll be a homework due, and they're always due on Wednesday nights at 11:59 p.m. Typically, you get 3 attempts on a homework assignment, and I take the highest of the 3. Sometimes I'll give you 4 or 5 attempts on a homework assignment, and I'm always going to give you the highest of all the attempts that you use. So use as many as you would like to get the grade that you would like. So homework number 1 is due during the 3rd week. So that's Wednesday, the 8th of February at 11:59 p.m. So you don't have to worry about homework for a little while, but I want you to be aware that it will start soon. Then we have quizzes in this class. Quizzes are 15% of the grade. I do 3 quizzes. So there's 1 quiz before every in-class exam, or sorry, I should say every online hosted exam, every course exam. And each quiz is now worth 5%. So 5% equals the total of 15%. The way that quizzes work is I have what I call a 2-attempt policy. And sorry about this. I'm going to do a little active editing because for some reason it says Tuesday instead of Monday. And following Friday. Too far into the video to restart it. So I have a 2-attempt policy for quizzes and exams. And the way that this works is I'm trying to give you a way where you can learn from mistakes. I'll give you a little bit more information on this, but you get 2 attempts, 2 independent attempts on the quizzes. The first one is mandatory. You have to take the first attempt, and second attempts are optional, where you can just take the grade that you got in the first attempt if you want to, or you can use a chance to try to improve your grade. And then we have 3 exams in this class. Each one is worth 10%. So exams are 30% overall, pretty low stakes per exam. And 2 are during the semester, and the last exam happens during the final exam period of UTK. It's not a comprehensive exam. It is just the last exam of the class, and it's a very convenient time to have a last exam of the class. Just like quizzes, they'll be available on Canvas from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. on days that we have quizzes and exams. You can take them at your convenience anytime within that window. They also follow 2-attempt policy, and I see this again, so might as well do more active editing, because why not? Let's have some fun. So first attempts on Monday and second attempts on Friday. First attempts are mandatory, second attempts are optional. And now let me go ahead and spend a little bit of time explaining what this whole 2-attempt policy is. So I built this course policy in because I can't think of what's more normal and more natural about being human than making mistakes and then learning from them. Because making mistakes is how we learn as humans. So if we want to actually do something that humans do really well, learning from their mistakes, we just have to make a little bit of room for that and how we teach our classes. So the way that I do this is what I call the 2-attempt policy for quizzes and exams. So first attempts, whenever we have a quiz or exam, they'll always happen on Monday, and you'll have from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. Eastern time to take the quiz attempt or the exam attempt. For quizzes, you get 20 minutes. For exams, you get a full 90 minutes. So just find the time that's convenient to you. Sit down and take the first attempt. Treat it as if it was the only attempt, because first attempts are mandatory. You have to take the first attempt. Think of that as the quiz or exam day. Then on the day after, Tuesday, I review all the results of the first attempt, and that allows me to see how everybody did, figure out what the hardest questions were, what the most difficult concepts were, put together a response, some feedback for you, because it's impossible for me to give feedback individually to 200 plus students. This way I can give you feedback, because I think feedback is absolutely critical to the learning experience. And I will post my feedback, my review of your first attempts on your quiz or exam. And this gives you the chance to read through it, get that supplemental instruction, and room for you to ask me questions. More than that, the first attempt is going to give you the chance to learn what you know and what you don't know. Because how do you know what you don't know until you give something a try? So that first attempt is going to be a great tool for you, because you'll realize how well you did at studying, what you knew, what you didn't know. And then you'll actually have a second attempt on the following Friday after you review some more, study some more, read through my feedback. And if you want to try to improve your grade, you get a second attempt at the quiz or exam. Now, I draw my quiz questions and exam questions from pools, so it won't be the exact copy of your first attempt, but it'll be the same material drawn from the same pools. Now, there is a caveat that you have to pay attention to, that if you choose to use your second attempt, your grade on the quiz or exam will be the average of your first attempt and your second attempt. Why the average and not the highest? Well, if I just said it's going to be the highest of the two, everybody would skip the first attempt, wait for me to give you more information, have more time to study, and only take the second attempt. Also, I want to incentivize you to do well on your first attempt and not just use it as a throwaway to get more information about the quiz. I'm not trying to give you a mechanism where you can just sort of game the system. I'm trying to give you learning opportunities, and using the average, or at least in my estimation, is the best way to make quizzes and exams learning opportunities. If you have questions about the 2-attempt policy, please reach out. I know it's new, it's a little bit different. And that's what I have for this first sort of tutorial video. Welcome to the class. In video 2, I'll actually show you what Canvas looks like. I'll show you a little bit of the course schedule, and then that way you can see a little bit more hands-on how all of this works. Thank you for tuning in to the video, and I will see you in the next one. And please email me if you have questions.